computer. So we're just going to go through how to draw a harmonic scan. So we come over to im.center login, which is where we find our strategies. And just go to the left-hand menu. And down here, you'll see a number of different things. We won't go through the others, but you just want to click on strategies. This is free with the lowest cost package. And we use that. We use something called HFX, but we won't go into that today. And click on harmonics. And that takes you into the scanner. Scanner is very powerful. It was invented by the founder of the Educational Institute, where we get the software systems and tools, and it plots 5 reversal points in the market. There are different names. There's crab, and you'll see other ones called cipher, bat, shark, butterfly, and basically they're just based on different depths of the reversal point. So that's a bit technical. We needn't worry about that. I don't think I've drawn this one. Normally we'll go to any of the brokers. The main feed is Trader's Way, and we start with a 1-hour time frame analysis when we're doing harmonic pitchforks. And we have certain rules. You can take any of the brokers, though it doesn't matter which broker you are with, but we start with the 1 hour. We sometimes take scans from the 30-minute or the M15, never from the daily because we're not in trades that length of time, and occasionally from the 4-hourly time frame. So the first thing is make sure that your time zone, bottom right, is the same as your local time zone. I'm in outside Paris, so mine is +2, UTC +2, so that does need to be the same as your local time zone. And then whatever scans you're drawing. Now this one you can see is a bit odd because it doesn't appear to be on a point. So that doesn't happen very often, but it will always be highs and lows on the scan. So just from experience, really, I'd have the confidence to pull that over to there, which is what I will do for the purposes of this. But you can see it's high to low to high to low to high. And as the D point is up here, this is what we call a sell scan. And you'll see that from the free trade that they give you, stop loss, entry, take profit 1, 2, and 3. So out of these scans, we're probably getting 60 to 80 a week, more than enough to trade off. If you are, you can use different strategies on it. 25 to life off the D point. You can take that here. You can do what I do, which is pitchforks. And we have a certain number of rules to comply to make before we draw them. So the first one is C to D leg must be a minimum of 80 pips. And now you'll see here it says 879. We ignore the last digit. That's called a pipette, and it's to the right of the decimal point. So ignore that. This is in fact 87 pips, so that's big enough to draw. And also we have to have moved off the D point by 20 pips to show it's solidified. So that probably hasn't. That's only moved down 5, 7, but I'm going to draw it anyway for the purposes of this. And then what I'll do is just put a circle on the D point to remind me that I need to check on the scanner, because there's no point. Sometimes the D point can move, particularly on the pattern called the shark. Different rules apply on the shark. If I just show you one here. That's a bit small to look at. With a shark, we only enter if it's at least on the second entry point. It has 2 entry points, and the D point can move with shark patterns. That's why they are more flighty. Or we enter at 50% towards take profit 1, or not until take profit 1, and that's just with shark patterns. Okay, so we'll come back to the one we were looking at. So as I say, I'm going to draw this anyway, even though it hasn't moved the 20 pips. And this is M15. So we come over to ORD NZD, which I don't think I've got open. And then you want to make sure also on your trading view, which is where we do all our chart analysis, that you've got the same time zone here. So you see it says UTC +2, that matches up with my local time zone. And then you want top left, the same time frame that you are taking it off on the harmonic scanner. So we were looking at the 15-minute chart, so you must draw it on the 15-minute chart. So bring up.
So yeah. Even when it says you're looking at it on the hour, on the actual chart, it says 15-minute, doesn't it? So you've got to draw it on.
Yeah, that's right. Because here, here it says M15 in green, and it happens to be a very big one for the M15 chart. Some of them might be. That's a bit smaller. That's a smaller one. So we don't often find them that big. But yes, M15 there. It says M15 there. So therefore, when we come over here, it must also be drawn on the M15 chart.
Would you not look at what that looked like on the hourly, or would you just take it as on the 15?
No, don't look at it on the hourly. You're either drawing scans off any of these brokers on the hourly and drawing that accordingly, or you just match it up with the time frame it's shown on. As simple as that. Yeah, don't need to do any more analysis. Now, interestingly, that's now moving up off that D point there. Just oops. So that maybe hasn't confirmed. If you remember, we didn't have. It's moving. So it's still forming the end. This is called an Elliott wave. It hasn't finished its pattern yet. But I'll draw it anyway, because sometimes unless it shoots straight up past stop loss, often all we have to do is move the D point. So this might not be an absolutely brilliant one, but we'll do it anyway. So come back over to your. I'm just going to hide various things so we've got a clean chart for the purposes of doing this. You don't want, whatever you're doing, you want charts that are as clean as possible. Keep lines always the same color, the various different things you're doing. Then your muscle memory in your brain has less to consciously think about. You can focus just on the trade rather than thinking, why did I draw a green line or a blue line? That's it. Just get rid of that. So I'll get rid of these other indicators. Right, so now we have a nice clean chart. And then this was a cell scan. So there are two ways you can do this. Neither is right or wrong. It's just visually how you take in information. So you're looking for highs and lows because it's reversal points. So without going back to the scanner, for example, I can either look visually and just pick up this little 5-point scanner icon. Now, once I've picked that up on my mouse, and I'll show you it in a minute, I then will be holding 5 points on my mouse. So when you come over to the scanner and you start to click, you just click once at a time because it's going to drop those 5 points on the chart. I know when I started, I kept clicking and clicking and wondering, oh, it was just all over the place. So, so I can either do this visually, and I can say that, well, that looks like a high, that looks like the next low, that looks like the next high, that looks like the next low, and that looks like the last high. Or I can pick up a brush and I can say, okay, I know it was round about, X point was round about starting, line it up vertically and look at the date stamp at the bottom, 23rd of July at 16:45. and that's it there. So there, high, that looks like the next low. That might be it, high, low, high. And then we'll come back. So I'll say 24th of July at 10:30. Usually I write this down. That's 26th of July at 23. So actually it's over here. I don't know if that'll let me move it. So that means, because that's X, that's going to be the next one, A. So that means the B point's going to be that one, that little next high there. So that is 27th of July at 10. So as I say, I usually start at the scanner and I'll just go X and then I'll write down 23rd of the 7th, 1645, A, 26th of the 7th, 23, B, I'll line it up and I'll write it in my pad, 27th of the 7th at 10, 27th of the 7th at 10, so that was correct. And then this one, 27th of the 7th at 15:30. So again, you can see that point there is not, this is not, so I draw it probably on that one. This is an unusual one. Often they are exactly matching up. We can find another one if we want. So 27th of July at 15:15. 27th at 15:15. I could see why you might be having problems because this is an unusual one. I would struggle a little bit with this one. So I've got, not only is that saying 15:30, not 15:15, but I've got two lines that you could say, well, actually, they both look exactly the same. That does often happen. So I'll take a horizontal line and then I'll put it on there. And I'll say, okay, which is the lowest? And it is that left one, because the point of this strategy is the preciseness on the 1 minute. So that is correct. And then here, as we know, we think that D point's still moving. But for the purposes of today, I can see that that one is the highest one, which is 28th at 20:45. And that's already come up past there. But I'll put it on there for the moment. There will be easier scans than this one. So so on the scanner, time frames match up, 80 pips minimum C to D, 20 pips off the D point measurement, discount the last digit to ensure that it has solidified. Sharks are different. Once you've done that, and still to this day, however many of these I've drawn, I just get my pen and my pad and I write down X, as I said, 21st of July, 23rd of July, 23rd, 7th, 16:45. I write them down and I tick them off as I draw them. So I will always start here and I write it down, the X, the A, the B, the C, the D, the times. Then I come over here. I do it on a cleanish chart. Sometimes I'll do it visually and sometimes I will draw the brush marks. Either is fine, there's no right or wrong. Then I pick up the scanner and I use the magnet to make sure that it will lock onto the end of the wicks because it must be precise. So I pick up the top one, which I favorited, and now I'm holding 5 points on the mouse. So I go to the first one and I just click once. Then I drag it down, sorry the line's not very clear, to the, this is where it helps to have written it down because you can see there's several in a row. So I'll just double check that, 26th of the 7th at 23:45, click that. Up here, lock it on, make sure you saw how it jumped onto the end of the wick, lock it on. I'm going to pick that one, as we said. Now that's gone onto a higher point, doesn't matter, you can come back and correct that, and then up to there. So I'll just pull that one back down while we're here so it's in the correct place. Take this line off because we don't need that. See if I can make this a bit bigger for us. And that dropped down. So once those are on, I like to have mine, have them whatever color you like. I always have my latest ones, then I fade them out to that green. I have my latest ones in bright pink, and I have that now these numbers, I don't know what they mean. I don't care what they mean, and they're not important. And Chance has said that because someone asked him once. So no idea what they are, and it really doesn't matter. So ignore all this sort of stuff. So once I've drawn that on, and let's just check that one because there were. So you see there, you've got this is. So if this is a good example to show you because sometimes this does crop up. So one would be thinking, oh, shall I pick the yellow or the blue because they are exactly level? I would pick the end of the down trend because it's a down trend, okay? And vice versa if we were in an uptrend. So I wouldn't pick the blue. It doesn't matter actually because they're level, but personally, you could pick either, but personally I'd pick the green. So once you've got that locked on and just check back, I always check back visually. Does it look similar? Yes, it does. And then come here to the pitchfork symbol. Again, have the magnet on. And the top one, just the top one. I have no idea what all these are. Don't know, don't care, never bother with them. Just one called simple pitchfork. Click on that. Always start with the X. And this is called a first pitchfork. There is a more advanced one called a second pitchfork. We needn't get into that. So X, click on that, and then drag it down. Make sure it locks onto the C and drag it up here. And then the settings we have are from, sorry, we don't like the background on, we just keep them clean. If it's my latest pitchfork on the settings, I like to have it in white. Then again, when I'm trading, I know my white one, I'll think, oh, okay, I am trading off the latest pitchfork. So now that looks like it's locked on very nicely. This is then what I like to do is just clean up those brush marks because I like the chart to be tidy. And what we're going to do now, and this is the only fiddly bit of this strategy, but it is worth doing. You do get quicker as you go along because once pitchforks are accurate, they're valid forever. We were looking at a trade today where I was trading off a pitchfork. You can prove it's still valid because the price to the pip still hits various lines as you look back through, and it was over a year old. So, you know, phenomenally powerful because the pitchfork is an aggressive trend line. A trend line is more like a zone, whereas a pitchfork has Fibonacci built into it. Doesn't matter what Fibonacci is, all you need to know is it's magic numbers that work. So not only does your scan have Fibonacci built into it, but your pitchfork does as well. And of these scans, they did 100,000 independent tests and they were proven to be 89% accurate. So very, very powerful strategy indeed. So now you need to come to the 1 minute. And as I say, this is the only fiddly bit. I sometimes put this padlock on, which locks all drawing tools, because sometimes I've accidentally moved things as I've been going, but you will have to unlock it when you're placing the line. So I'm just pressing on my left mouse so I can move things around. And I'm using this here, pressing the left mouse to drag it up and down how I want to see it. Or sometimes I'll use that plus sign, the magnifier, like that. Not always, but sometimes. So I'll have to take that lock all drawing tools off, pull the D point to snap it on, keep the magnet on, snap it on to the highest point. It really doesn't matter about the pink drawing. It's the pitchfork that's the only thing you need to concern yourself with, but I do like to drag it over. So that's the first point. Then, as I say, I sometimes like to lock that back on. I don't always do it. And I'm just minimizing to help speed up. Now, with the trading view, it will only let you go back in time 2 weeks. So if it's a very big scan that goes back more than 2 weeks that you're drawing, do as much as you can on the 1 minute up here, the 1 minute time frame, and then you may have to swap to the 5 minute and then start again, because you won't be able to see the date and time. It won't go back that far. So here we can see the C point looked accurate on the hourly, but down on the 1 minute, which has 60 candles forming one hourly candle. And it's working on the 1 minute that enables us to work with a 10 pip stop loss, which is what makes this strategy so powerful. So obviously an hourly candle is one candle, whereas here it's like looking at the palm of your hand up very, very close. We're looking at all the little wrinkles. But the thing about the markets is they're not random, as you know, they're patterns. So every pattern you see in the 1 minute is the same pattern. This is like being in the center of the storm. This is the current moment in time. And then it will radiate out to the 5 minute, 15 minute, 30 minute hourly, etc. So you're just looking at every single wrinkle, but it's such a powerful strategy. And I can't believe out of 100 educators in IM, Chance is the only person that has this strategy. It's just fantastic. Now here again, we've got that issue of the two candles looking like they are the same height. So I totally agree. It's very easy to get confused and think, well, which one do I choose? The answer is, if they are exactly the same, it actually doesn't matter. But my preference is that I would probably go for the for what formed the beginning of this trend. So I'll probably put it on the blue one, but I'll just show you. This is an unusual scan. They're not always as fiddly as this in terms of how. That's what I would do. I put on a line and I say, well, is it exact? And the answer is, which is quite unusual, they are exactly the same. No, not a whisker between them. So I would put, it really doesn't matter, but I'll put it on that one. And as I say, you don't need to care about the drawing. You could leave the drawing anywhere. It's not the drawing, it's the pitchfork. It's the only thing you need to concern yourself about. So once you've drawn the scan on, then lock it on, right click. You'll see the padlock is open. So lock that. And I usually lock the drawing as well. And that means that you can't glitch the scan. And now we've done that, if I can find it. Let's come back to the 15 minute. And as we know, now interestingly, that is on the high point there. Now, sometimes the other thing that might muddle you up, and it's totally not our fault at all, is that the D point moves, but it doesn't show it's moved on the scanner. So unless this scan, for example, well, we might be able to find one. If I could find a failed scan to show you. That to me is just happens to be what I would call a failed scan, so that's a bit of luck. And the reason is, the reason I don't like that is it's virtually dropped past the stop loss almost straight away before coming back in. So if it falls directly off the D point, this is a buy scan, it should be going upwards, and vice versa, then it's a failed scan. I'll just see if I can find one that's they're all okay. Can't even see that one. And the other reason I like drawing the scans onto TradingView is because then you've got your library, because they disappear off the end of the scanner, and then they're gone forever. I can't find. That was the best sort of failed example I could show you. There isn't another failed one that I can see at the moment. But you get the idea. So if that price had if it had just gone right up like that, that would be a failed scan, and I wouldn't even draw it. Okay. So once we've done that, M15. Whoops. You just get rid of that. I don't often draw on here, so it's a bit muted. Well, I never draw on here. Oh, that's quite good, because it's calmed down now, and it seems to have made its mind up that it was quite happy. That's 28th of July 2030, but it's always the highest or lowest point. So on there, on the 15-minute, it says 28th of July at 20:45, but it's your highest point. So it most definitely is that little candle there. So that might be another thing that is a bit difficult at first. You might think, well, why isn't it that one? And the answer is you can see that it is lower than that. It would most definitely be that highest candle on the 1 minute, or that's the 15-minute, but you can see it clearly on the 1 minute that that is your highest candle, as we said when we locked it on, and not that one there. So because it's slightly lower, and you can see it's done a little retrace before finally printing. And let's see how many pips it's come down now. It's come down 8 pips now, so it's on its way to solidifying. And then from here, what I'll do is well, I won't put it in the, hang on, I'll come back onto the minus sign, or you can use your auto here, which will auto fit it to the screen. So I just use this minus down here. Oh, that's gone again now. That didn't work too well. Trying to get, I don't often use that auto fit. Now I know why. I can never get stuff like that to try to put it on the minus. Let's put it back on the 15-minute. That might be better. That's better. Right, so we've got our scan drawn on nicely. That looks great to me. I know we had to move our X point because it sat on the scanner in the middle of nowhere, but you can see clearly. Sometimes the other thing that might be difficult is if you go back to market open. Now, sometimes I really struggle with these, and I end up, it doesn't happen all the time, but I end up giving up drawing because where are we? 28th, so 27th, 26th, 24th of July. Let's see if there was a gap on here, which would have been, well, that's why. That's exactly why this is a bit odd. And that's because it's the gap. The 24th of July was Friday, and market then opened 26th of July on the Sunday. So the scanner has a gap, the spread between market open and market close and market open. That's why it's a bit peculiar. So just have a think about where your Fridays and Mondays are. It's not the scanner's fault. It's to do with the brokers' spreads and commissions. That's what's happened there. That's exactly why. So now you've done that, then all you need to do is add back on your indicators. And we're just waiting, as I said, for that to be 20 pips to solidify. But then from there, I follow the same routine every time. So with this, we would be usually looking for a break and a retest of the Pitchfork. It's a bit of an unusual one because you've got the quarter theory acting as a brick wall. So price is pushing that down below the 62. It hasn't done a break and a retest of the Pitchfork, and usually our rule is no retest, no entry. And you can see also that the orange line is still saying sell, even though it's curled. It's still saying buy, even though it's curled round. And this is D at the top means it's a sell scan. So ideally, what I would be looking for is for price to come up and retest, then come down, break and retest quarter theory, and come down. And so what I would want to see is putting that there. And also we need to wait for AN is a slow pair, very similar currencies. They're an Asian session pair. So all these little tips you'll pick up over time. They'll move in Tokyo They're very similar currencies, Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, so I don't trade it a lot for that reason, just because it's a bit slow. So you can see it's curling down, but ideally I'd like it to do that. Now it may not, it may just the market will do what the market wants to do. It might decide it's just going to do that, but that's fine. Because the other rule that we have is we only take a scan in the direction of the scan, i.e. a sell, until it reaches the median, which for us is this solid white line, which is why I have my 0.5 lines in dashes and the solid line, then I know that's the median. Once it's hit that, then I can take a buy or a sell. And I'll just get rid of that brush mark in the only way I know how. And I think that's about it. So the only other thing I then do to get myself set up is I always do my chart setups before I trade, about 2 hours before or 6 or 8 hours before. So Sunday night I'm doing it for Monday morning. I don't often trade Monday morning because the market's still settling down. But I put on my alert, so I don't need a trend line because I'm going to put it near the quarter theory, and I'll put it about 2 to 3 pips away. I like all my lines that mean different things in the same color, so all my alerts are pale blue. Then, as I say, my brain isn't getting muddled up as to what line I'm looking at. The muscle memory has learnt that that's an alert. And then I will set the alert. I've extended the right line to go on forever. So that is all set up. When I come to trade, I don't have to think, what the hell is this scan doing? What am I meant to be looking at? Am I looking at a buy or a sell? You know, whatever. I've got it all marked up. So the only other thing I'm going to do with this one is just circle that, because that will remind me that I've got something to think about. And in this case, it is that it hadn't solidified by the 20 pips. So I wouldn't always type this on because I don't, you know, I'd remember that. But I'll put check the point on scanner just to see it hasn't moved. But if I come to the chart, I'll be able to see it myself if price is pushed on up here. Because the other thing we put on, I think I've got them on. No, I haven't got them on. These two settings on the Pitchfork are called the extensions. They're a bit like Bollinger Bands. And they're up there. So if this hasn't solidified and if price goes on up here, then I might redraw it. But it looks like it is settling down. And that's about it, really. So I don't know if you've got any questions or you want to show me what you've been doing.
Yeah, I mean, when I do the when I draw it on, I get it drawn up on, say, on the hourly, and then when I go into the 1 minute, and obviously it's not accurate. Every time I say I move C, then everything else moves as well. I don't know why. I don't know how or what I'm doing wrong.
Oh, I think that used to happen to me. Do you think it's because you're dragging everything with you? Is it to do with the magnet?
It
Because
might be the
I
magnet.
used to glitch. I used to move. My pitchforks used to move, and I used to think, I don't understand why. And then someone said to me, "You're not locking them on," and I said, "Oh, I didn't realise that." So mine were glitching all over the place. So when you're coming down, so say you've got this on the hourly, right? Then you come down to the 1 minute.
Yeah.
So you've drawn it on.
So say now the D point is like nowhere near where it should be.
Yeah.
So I drag the D point down.
Yeah.
But once I do that, then everything else moves out of place. But then when I go back, and then when I go to say move the C point back on, then the D point will move, and I keep it just, it's like a never-ending cycle I can't get out of.
What have you got turned on the left? Have you got the magnet on, or a lock, or have you got any things highlighted?
Just a magnet.
I think you're going to have to. Can you show me? Because if I make you a co-host, let me just. Where's my thing on? Hang on. Oops. Unmute. Make co-host. Yeah, and then if I stop share, you should be able to share screen.
So if I share my
Is it?
on my screen, have I got?
Yeah, got it.
So I'll just go on to go try drawing a few up early, and I just kind of end up losing patience.
I know it's a bit like that. I agree.
See, like there, like now, look. See, that's like on the hourly now. I moved it all around, went back onto the hourly, and it just looked like that.
Okay, so have you got? You've got ordinary candles on, yes. So if you just drag, we're on the hourly. So if you drag your price down so we can see the whole thing a bit, yeah, yeah, like I showed, that's it. Oh, I see what you mean. Okay, so if you move that D point to the bottom of that red wick on the right.
Do I move that now? See,
Yeah.
now, but
Oh, now put your magnet on. It's John, isn't it, your first name?
Jason.
Jason, sorry. Put your magnet on, Jason. And now, yeah, so that's gone on to the bottom of it. Now with that C point, I think that C point's going to be that red candle to the right. Yeah,
So,
I think that looks like it's slightly higher, doesn't it? See if you can drag that up there, and that should lock it on with the magnet. It needs to be at the end of the wick. So sometimes like this, I use the plus sign at the bottom and make my thing a bit wider. The A point, yeah, drag it up to the bottom of that red wick. Oh, sorry, not the red, the B point. Yeah. And then the A looks like it's probably the top of that green one, doesn't it?
Yeah, about there.
Yeah, that's it. And then the X is going to be the bottom of that red one.
Yeah.
That looks slightly lower, doesn't it? So,
but then once I say I do that now,
yeah,
I'll go into the.
well, why don't you put the pitchfork on, and let's go through it. So keep the magnet on, get the pitchfork.
Yeah.
Great. And then do your XCD, and it should just snap on because of the magnet. Brilliant. Yeah.
That's not going on now, is it?
Yeah, you might have to start. Sometimes I found I had that problem. Oh, that's it. Great. And then just snap it on. That's it. So that looks great. So now come down to the 1 minute. So this is where I sometimes use that minus thing at the bottom, you know, just to speed up trying to find my way back a bit. Yeah, I'll just sort of click on that. And if you click on the pitchfork, click on one of the lines of the pitchfork and take the background off. We don't bother with the background. So just right click on one of the lines of the pitchfork. Yeah, that's the chart itself. That's it.
Where is it?
It'll be settings. And then scroll, uncheck the background box.
There we go.
Yeah, that's better. Okay, so now we're on the 1 minute, and this is what we always get. I get this, you know, we all get this. So you want to drag it to the lowest one, which I think is that little red one.
Which one there?
Further to the right. Now it's always going to be the lowest and the highest points, like Everest. It'll always be so. Further over. Red candle to the left of the green looks slightly lower to me.
What's he doing?
Yeah, it could be because we're on Zoom. Might be. Yeah, next one over to the right. Always pick the very lowest one.
I can't really see me. Out there.
Yeah, no, even lower. It's to the left of the long green one, just before it starts the climb up. That's where the pattern is formed at the bottom. So next one down. Sometimes I use next one down even. Sometimes I use,
zoom into it a little bit.
Yeah, sometimes I do that myself because I just, it's difficult to see on the 1 minute because you've got you've got every little, yeah, so there, that you can see that it's that one on the right.
Yeah.
That's it.
Jumping around.
Yeah, that could just be Zoom doing that.
So there.
Yeah, that's it. And the magnet will snap that on. Now bring the pitchfork down there. So the pattern doesn't really matter, but it's the pitchfork that counts, and it must be dead on the end of the wick, because otherwise over a period of months the angle will be off. So that is where I tend to magnify the thing to make sure I'm exactly that the magnet snapped on to the end.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah. Perfect. And now just repeat that on the other 4 points.
So usually what happens to me now is I'll move the C point and then the D point will just like
okay, we'll try it and let's see what happens. I mean, I'm no expert on TradingView.
There it is.
That's it.
So
this is where, when I'm scrolling back to get to the other points, I sometimes lock all drawing tools, the one under the magnet, the padlock, because I have found that myself, that then I think, oh no, it's slipped off. So that sometimes I will put that padlock on, but then you have to unlock it when you're actually moving stuff, because it does freeze everything.
So that hasn't actually moved this time for once.
Yeah, well, as I say, it could well be. I've always had that problem. You know, I'll lock that padlock on because then I know I can scroll back through and it won't. I've got no danger of having, because I've had that happen to me and then I've had to start all over again.
Yeah, it's very frustrating.
Yeah, it is. But it does get better the more you do, obviously, like anything. So same principle here on the B point. Although with the B and the A point, it doesn't matter so much because you're not dealing with a pitchfork, it's only the pattern.
Yeah, true.
So I like to have it generally on because obviously it's visually then nice and, organized.
Yeah. That's why I would prefer kind of. Sorry. So that's going to be a little point there. So now it's all moving. I can tell the whole thing's moving now.
Well, put the B on. I saw that. I did see the whole thing move then.
See, if I zoom out now and go back, see how the D point's moved.
Ooh, yikes.
And I've no idea why it's doing it.
I saw it move the whole scan across as you moved. Yes. Okay. Okay, if you right click anywhere on the chart, not on the pattern or the pitchfork, but just the background.
Yeah.
Right click. If we go to settings, symbol, status line, scales. Let's have a look at scales. I wonder if it's something to do with that. No, I don't often look in here. Scale placements.
Yeah, I mean, I could have done something by accident and not realised that I've changed something maybe.
Can you just click on scales placement auto?
Scales placement.
Down at the bottom. Not that I've ever moved anything in there, but what I'm going to do is look on mine in a minute and see what mine.
Yeah.
Stack on left, stack. No, it can't be that. Leave that. Click on appearance. Nothing to do with scales. So the first thing is you don't need all that grid on the background, so we may as well tidy that up while we're here. So vertical grid lines and horizontal grid lines, if you just change those grey boxes to a similar colour to the background box, they'll disappear. That took me about 6 months to realise how to do that.
Well, so change this one.
No, the grey box, the colour. Just make it darker. And then you won't have to see all those session boxes. And the same with the horizontal one, may as well do that while we're here. Yeah. So what have we got there for scales text and scales lines? Let's leave all navigation pane buttons. Okay, so I can't think of anything else on there. Why is your whole scanner moving? If you stop trading panel, what else have we got that you've got set up? Compare indicator financial templates. Can't be any templates thing. We're just on an unnamed chart. So it's so all I can think of, if you stop sharing, and I'll just look at the settings on my trading view and see if mine says something different while you look at yours.
How do you stop sharing? There we go.
Green at the bottom. Yeah. Okay, so let's come on to this here. So if I right click, have a look at settings on my chart while you look at yours. I just wonder if it's something in here. So the top one is just to do with candles and local time zone at the bottom. So there's not going to be anything on there that's going to make it move. Status line, I never moved anything on that. So if you haven't been in there and done anything with that, there's no reason why that's going to do anything. Scales, I've got the similar to you, I think. Symbol last, I never set anything on here. I just left it as it was. I've got auto, you know, it's the same sort of thing. Appearance, scales, text, lines, crosshair. It's nothing there. Trading. Nothing there. And events, it's not going to be that, is it? So why is our whole thing moving? So
I'm not doing anything different.
If I take the magnet off and if I unlock, let me unlock it and see if I can get mine to move. So if I unlock the latest Pitchfork and unlock the latest pattern. Right, so if I come on here then, and I'm left click, I've left clicked over the scanner.
Yeah.
When I push, that just pushes the whole picture, not the scanner, not the scan. See what I mean? And I've unlocked it and taken the magnet off.
I mean, I thought it might be, you know, am I not dragging it exactly on the actual letter itself? So I tried all sorts of little things.
Look, if I'm on the letter, it's moving the scanner.
Right, there you go. So it's got
so look, you see I've made a mistake. I've moved it off. You just press this back arrow. We'll take it back where it was, just so you know that one.
Cool. So it's got to be that.
So do you think you were... So, okay, let me see if I put it on the line. Yes, that moves it as well. Touching anything to do with the construction of the scanner moves the scan.
So it's weird. I must be. So where do you got to put your mouse? Where do you usually put your mouse in to move it?
good point. So if my mouse there is on the background, so then if I come here on the magnifier, say I want to move the C point, say I wanted to move it over here,
Yeah.
the pitchfork, I want to pick up the pitchfork, so I've left clicked on that circle and that will move it. If I left click on the C point, it's moving the whole scan. I think that's the problem. All that you're doing, and I can totally get it, because it would happen to me as well, because once you've lined it up and then you say, oh no, wait a minute, I need it somewhere different, it's very hard to see if you're picking up the pitchfork circle or the scanner or the C point circle. Yeah.
So you got to make sure it's the actual circle and not on the in the letterbox itself.
Well, or I could pick up the line of the pitchfork and move it like that.
And move it out of the way.
Can move the line to move the pitchfork. I've never done that. I always have done the circle, I must say. But or what you can do, because you'll usually find the pattern is slightly off. So you come and put your pitchfork on first, because with the magnet, I always put the magnet on, because that's the thing that matters. It doesn't matter if that stays over there. It doesn't matter at all. But to move it, I must admit, I never click on that C point, because that does move the whole scan. That's very interesting. I never thought of that. I always go to the circle. So I go to the circle, it's just moving the point.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think it would make any difference, but obviously it does.
I didn't know that till this. I didn't know that. I've never ever done that where that has happened to me. I've just always managed to move the circle. Interesting, isn't it? So I didn't know that either, that moved the whole scan.
Just weird how I must just be doing it every single time then.
And then back to locking it on, you can just lock on, any of these points will lock the whole scanner and whole pitchfork on for you. Okay.
Great. I think we've come to the bottom of my problems then.
Yes, and the other thing I noticed, if you go to your pitchfork settings, right click on it and open it up, you need to have your 1.618 and your 1.5 turned on. They give you the extensions, which are like the Bollinger Bands. You don't always have to have them on, but that's where you want them. And then your 0.5, I didn't notice what it looked like on your chart, should be your dotted lines, and your 1, your median line is the solid line, and then your brain knows where that line is, for then you don't have to take the trade in the direction of the scan. You can have a buy or a sell. Okay. Cool.
I'm happy you recorded this now, because when I have a brain freeze again, I can watch it back and realise what I'm doing wrong.
Yeah, well, anything else, I'll just stop recording now, because it's probably enough for you to have to rewind through.